What's going on? Trip Kramer here from tripadvice.com. I want to talk about where you're getting your dating advice from. Generally speaking, you do not want to be getting your dating advice from a woman. I even say you probably don't want to be getting dating advice from even any guys out there. Really the best person to ever get dating advice from, of course I'm going to biasly say myself, but beyond me, I want you to be getting dating advice from a guy who's actually doing well with women. But even that can be a problem because not all men who do well with women are going to be able to teach that. So sometimes you're going to be talking to a guy, maybe he's really good with women, and you say, hey man, what's your secret? Like how you getting these girls? And he's going to say, oh, just be confident, man. Just talk to him. And you're like, what the hell am I going to do with that? So that's not going to work either. So I guess I'm giving you a little laundry list of all the people not to talk to. But let's talk for a second about women because it seems intuitive to be talking to a woman and ask her opinions. Now, I'm generally speaking, I think there's probably a handful of women out there who can teach you how to be able to attract a woman. There's some great dating coaches, by the way, who are on YouTube. And those women, I think, are actually fantastic at giving dating advice to men. But I'm talking about more like your friends, those girls in school, those girls at work, the females in your social circle, your guy, your friend's fiance, your friend's girlfriend, your friend's wife. Those women are generally not going to be giving you really great dating advice. And the reason is because a woman is going to be telling you what's attractive to her in theory, but not something that actually builds attraction. So what she'll do is she'll say all the things that she likes. Well, there's a few things. One, she might say all these things that she likes that may work for a guy that she finds extremely physically attractive. A guy that has a lot of status and is physically attractive can do some beta things and get away with it and be able to attract a woman. So for example, let's say a guy who is super tall, super attractive, goes up to a woman on the street and starts talking to her. She's going to be like, oh, that's awesome. I like that. But if a guy who is not attractive to her at all goes and approaches her, he's labeled as creepy. So she's probably going to be getting approached more by guys like that. Therefore, she's going to give you the advice, don't approach girls in the street, which is terrible advice. You should absolutely do that, and that is a great way to meet women. But in her experience, she's had a lot of negative experiences with that, very anecdotal, so she's going to tell you not to do that. Women are also going to give you very politically correct advice, which is just watered down advice that doesn't really work, right? So she's going to say, oh, just go over to the girl and compliment her and be super nice and I don't know, maybe get her a gift or something like that. And that advice doesn't work. A woman is not going to be really attracted by that. By the way, this won't work all the time, but once in a while you can test a girl on that. You can even say to her like, really? So if a guy came up to you and did X, Y, and Z, would you really like them? Some of them might finally admit and say, okay, maybe I wouldn't like that, okay? But again, those are examples of things that don't actually work. It's just the kind of intuitive, politically correct stuff where I tell guys, don't compliment a woman. Now, I don't think that's necessarily mean, but I do think that if you compliment a woman, it's not going to really do something to build attraction. She's heard it before. It's going to be very needy. It's going to be very beta. It's just going to be something that is white noise to her, right? She knows she's attractive. Hearing it from you, it's not going to make her feel that much better. But if you don't do it, she's going to be chasing a little bit more of that validation. Therefore, she's going to be a little bit more attracted to you. She might give you the advice of, okay, wear cologne, dress up really good, get a haircut, groom, and all that stuff. By the way, that's all great advice, but she's saying that like, that's going to do it. Boom, that's enough. That's going to get you the girl. You do that and it's fine. But really, beyond that watered down kind of advice that's a little bit more obvious, a guy who's not necessarily the most super attractive guy is going to have to work on his behavior. He's going to have to be more assertive with the woman. So for example, when I went to the point earlier about confidence, where like a guy who's really good with women to say, oh, just be confident. Well, what does that even mean, right? And a girl might say that too. Just be confident, just like go talk to her. Yeah, that's step one, but that's not everything. It's about being more assertive. It's about being a challenge to her. It's about leading the whole interaction. Confidence is the term for leading the interaction without fear, being courageous, being able to flirt with her, being able to not compliment her, being able to ask her for her number and go through the steps that it might take that might get you rejected. You need to do that whole process in order to get her attracted. I talk about all this, by the way, in my Hooked program. If you want to learn more about how to build attraction, talk to women, get my Hooked course. It's a video course about 8 to 10 hours long, very effective. I'll put a link down in the description below. But again, we're talking here about the advice that women are giving you that's watered down, that in theory seems amazing because they're watching a lot of romantic comedies that they like Be Persistent, and persistence doesn't work. If you are too persistent as a guy who is not coming off attractive to a woman, she's going to be insanely creeped out. So that doesn't work as well. Another thing is about, similar to the politically correctness aspect of it all, is they will feel a little bit shameful about the things that they actually like. The assertiveness, the way that a man will take control. Like they might say, okay, you should always ask the girl, like, what does she want to do and what kind of food does she want to eat? When in reality, that's very unattractive to a woman, because a guy needs to actually, to get results, he needs to tell a woman, hey, this is what we're doing. I'm picking you up at 8. This is what's happening. And she absolutely loves that. But it feels almost wrong for her. It feels tough for her to say that because she doesn't want to feel like she doesn't have any power, right? What's happening right now in our culture is that women want to feel more powerful. So if they admit that there's times when they don't feel powerful, it's going to make them feel bad. But really, it's when men are powerful, it does in those moments make them more attractive to a woman. So again, a lot of the things that a woman is saying to you is something that they're not actually going to respond to. And a lot of the things that I've been talking about in this video are things that a woman might not respond to. Like being that super nice guy who's bringing flowers, who's being passive. That stuff doesn't work. She thinks it does, but it's not what's actually happening. Now, going back to what I said earlier, it's like, well, who do you get dating advice from? Obviously, this channel, of course. But you want to be able to get advice from a guy who is good with women, who knows how to explain it. Who can break it down, who can give you steps and examples of things to actually do. Like I said, if you need help, get my Hooked program. There's a link down in the description below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this. I want to have this discussion with you. I want to talk about this stuff with you. It's good stuff, and I hope that it's helping. I'll see you on the next video.